What's up, you party animals? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the arena. Are you ready? Um, I'm not sure that I'm ready. How long did we stream the other day? Let's get our extensions right off the bat. Extensions are corrected. Um, there it goes. There he is, the GOAT, the greatest of all time at struggling to make it through this project. But I have faith. Um, there it goes. There he is. There it is. All right. Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I forgot to check because I just got in this bad habit of not recording my time because I'm a doofus. And let's see, what yesterday the total time. It's an hour 40. Okay, it says an hour 40. So that means we went 10:40. So an hour would have been 11:35, and then 40 minutes would have been 15, right? So 12:15. I think that's right. Yeah, my math is impeccable, dog. So that's 1 hour. We'll just say 1.75 hours. So 12:15, and we had stopped. I remember we were working on the JSON stuff. Yeah, I was in the test file actually. I was in the test file and I was trying to get my JSON right. So let's do that. Let's go back to our test file. Oh, here it is. No, here it is. Okay. Yeah, so we need to fix the above line bad syntax. And consider using comment JSON library because we do want to be able to use some comments in our JSON. I would like that very much. So we have with open save file path R as save file. I think everything here loads the entire. No, this doesn't load it. We're trying to save to it. Oh, okay, wait. So save data at this point would have the modified dict, right? So then we would do JSON dump save data, right? Is that correct? Let's see. Dump is missing one file FP. Okay, we were going through this yesterday. Man, I thought I had it right. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see, yesterday. Share save variable to JSON. Make sure you use dump only when writing to a file and pass the file object. Oh man, I'm dumb. I'm an idiot. Okay, sorry, this is new to me. What we're doing here. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Okay, I'm doing dump instead of dumps. Okay, I gotta refresh on this. Let's go to the tippity top here. Oh man, he gave me a long answer. Okay, wait, that's not right. That's not the question we're looking for. The answer. Here we go. The error type error dump missing one required positional argument FP occurs because the dump function in Python's JSON module. The error type error dump missing one required positional argument FP occurs because the dump function in Python's JSON module or similar libraries requires a file like object FP as its first argument to write the serialized JSON data into a file. If you intended to serialize JSON data into a string, that's what I meant to do. Well, is that like, is this first argument to write the serialized JSON data? I'm confused still by, like, I thought dump is what serialized the data. Okay, first of all, I want to see something. What does save data look like at this point? Like, is save data JSON? Let's see, what is the type of it? Is it considered a dictionary or is it considered like JSON? It's a dictionary. So when we load in save data, it's literally just a dictionary. Well, that's because it's been loaded. That's because it's been deserialized. So it deserializes into an actual dictionary. Print type of save data. Save data equals JSON load save file. Okay, I'm just curious at this point. I'm just checking things. What is, if I print save file, what do I get here? Okay, we get a IO text IO wrapper JSON. So it's a file. This is basically like a file. I should probably know what this is. Okay, so I need to understand this better, just on a basic level. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask it a few questions, because I'm seeing that my fundamental understanding of what is happening here. I understood pickle better because, like, you had Python code, and then when you used dump on it, that would turn it into not bytecode, but hex code. What the fuck do you call it? Byte stream. And then when you loaded it, that meant you were converting it from byte stream to Python. But JSON, it's like it looks to be the case that it starts off as Python, like it's literally just a Python dictionary, and then when you dump it, it becomes a JSON dictionary, and then when you load the JSON dictionary, it becomes a Python dictionary again. So that's what is this? And then we're gonna ask, so JSON pre-JSONified is just a Python dictionary, and when you load it, it becomes a Python dictionary again. And then also, well, it's answering this question about the difference between dump and dumps, because I'm not understanding this very well. Use ChatGPT for every search. Download the Chrome extension to switch your default search engine to ChatGPT. I mean, I don't really need that because like I already use ChatGPT, right? I don't need to. Like, what's the point of having it as an extension? Like when I don't understand. I mean, I guess I'll get it. Supercharge rather ChatGPT. Change default search engine to ChatGPT search. No, I don't want to do that. I'll go to ChatGPT when I want to use ChatGPT. I mean, hey, good marketing your product, but oh damn it, it deleted my message. Damn. Oh, it. All right, let's go back way up here. Okay, here we go. Dump missing one required position or argument, FP, occurs because the dump function in Python's JSON module or similar libraries requires a file-like object as its first argument to write the serialized JSON data into a file. Requires a file-like object as its first argument to write the serialized JSON data into a file. If you intended to serialize JSON data into a string, use the dumps method instead. So dump versus dumps. Dump writes JSON data directly into a file. Dumps serializes JSON data into a string. Ah, okay. So that was why. For whatever reason, when I was using Pickle before, it said to use load instead of loads and dump instead of dumps, but I can't remember exactly why that was. Correct usage of dump. If you're using dump, ensure you provide a file object to write to. If you're using dump, ensure you provide a file object. So we have import JSON, example data equals data key 1 value 1 key 2 value 2. Write to a file using dump with open example JSON W as file. JSON dump. Oh, so you pass in more arguments, so the data is already okay. So dump rather, not jump. I looked at J and Jason and dump, and I said jump. Anyway, so does this basically just skip a step? So like instead of serializing it using dumps and then saving it to the file, you can, or writing it to the file, this does both. So it takes data and file, and then I'm guessing it has to serialize this because this is just a dictionary at this point. This is just a Python dictionary. This is not a it's not a JSON data structure. So that's what I need to ask is, so basically dump serializes and writes to the file, as to where dumps just serializes the data. So correct usage of dump. If you want the JSON data as a string, for logging or printing. Import JSON example data equals serialize data to JSON using dumps. We have JSON string equals JSON dumps data indent 4, and then we print the JSON string. Okay. Serialize data to JSON. So yeah, basically, if I'm understanding this, dumps is really, so you should only be using dumps if you're not planning on writing the data to a file. This often happens when you mistakenly use dump where dumps is required. Incorrect usage of dump, you say JSON dump data. This will raise the error. Correct it by using dumps if you want a string output. Okay, I am understanding now. Check your code. Make sure you use dump only when writing to a file and pass the file object, and then use dumps when creating a JSON string. If the issue exists, share your code snippet for a more. Okay, and this is what happens when we load that file using open savepath R. We use the context manager to open up this file, and then we print it. That is what we were returned. And so this is a file object in Python. So _io.textIO wrapper is a file object in Python. When you open a file using the built-in open, Python creates a file object which is represented by _io.textIO wrapper when printed. The textIO wrapper object is essentially an interface for reading or writing text to/from files. Here's what the attributes mean. Name is the path to the file. Mode is the mode the file was opened in. R for reading, W for writing, etc. And then encoding, the file's encoding, e.g. E1252 for Windows or UTF-8. Okay. So this was encoded in Windows, and then there's the name, Debugging projects, Canasta testing, main. CS save file JSON mode R. Okay. Pre-JSONified data is just a Python dictionary. Yes, exactly. JSON JavaScript object notation is a string-based format for representing structured data like dictionaries. String-based format for representing structured data like dictionaries, lists, numbers, and strings in Python. Before you JSONify data using JSON dump or JSON dumps, it is typically a Python dictionary or list. After JSONifying, it becomes a JSON formatted string or gets written to a file as JSON. Example: import JSON dictionary before JSONifying equals key 1 value 1 key 2 42. JSONify to a string. Key 1 value 1 key 2 JSONify to a string. JSON string equals JSON dumps data. JSONify to a string. String equals JSON dumps data. Print JSON string equals class string. So when you print the type of, it's just a string. So JSON is just a string. JSON string, it's, yeah, because it starts with, so it's literally just a string. So JSON is just strings. When you JSON load, does it become Python dictionary again? Yes, when you use JSON load or JSON loads for strings, JSON data is parsed back into a Python object, typically a dictionary or a list. So you can use a list. Or JSON string back to a Python dictionary. Data equals JSON loads, JSON string. print type data. So dictionary. Print data. Okay. And then if you're loading JSON from a file, for example, with open example JSON R as file, data equals JSON load file. So if you're loading JSON from a file, okay. So you would just use JSON load. That would be the fastest way to do that. And then you print the type of the data and you get a dictionary print data. Okay. Identified data is a regular Python dictionary or list. Post identified data is a JSON string or JSON written to a file. JSON load parses JSON from a file back into a Python dictionary list using Python loads. Parses a JSON string back into a Python or list. So they both do the same thing. But load is easier because I was thinking, how do you basically dump serializes and writes? I was like, when you load from a file, loads here instead of load. Exactly. If you were to use loads, let's change it to loads, and let's run it. So the JSON object must be a string bytes. Okay. So you would have to somehow like, you'd have to say save file at like 0 or something. Like you'd have to access is not subscriptable. I don't even know how you'd have to do like .read. I don't know, something like that. There you go. And then if we print the save data, there you go. You get, okay, yeah. So you would do save file.read. So it saves you from having to read. Y'all feel? I'm understanding. I am becoming enlightened as we speak. It's happening. Reaching a new level. There we go. There it is. So you can do loads, but you just have to call read on the save file, or you can just do load, which is, it does the same thing as loads save file read, so it reads and deserializes it. Yay. Alright, so I get it. So then we do save data client ID equals client ID. Alright. Then we do JSON dump. Let's see, JSON dump, and then we pass the data, which would be save data, and then the file, which would be the save file, I think. And then, is that right? JSON dump data save file. Not writable. We open it in read mode. We have to do RW, right? For R and write. We must have exactly one of create. Okay. I'll just ask you that. Exactly, there's a breakdown of the difference. Dump. What it does, serializes the Python object into JSON format and writes it directly to a file. When to use it, use this when you want to save the serialized data into a file. File object is required. So what it does, serializes the Python object into JSON format and writes it directly to a file. This is when you want to save the serialized data into a file. A file object is required. Da da da. Example of dump, and I'm just drilling this into my brain, so like I already get it, but I'm drilling it in there so that maybe I will actually remember it next time I encounter it. Okay, here we go. Import JSON data equals a dictionary, and use open example JSON write mode as file JSON dump indent 4. Easy money. There you go. Create or overwrite a file example JSON with contents. Gotcha. Dumps, it serializes the Python object into a JSON formatted string. It does not write it to the file. Use this when you only use JSON as a string for logging, debugging, or sending JSON over a network. Okay, fair enough. I didn't consider that part, sending it over the network. File object is not required. This works entirely in memory. No file is involved. Gotcha. Example of dumps. Import JSON data equals dictionary. Use dumps to get JSON as a string. JSON string is JSON dumps. Data indent print JSON string, baby. Output is this dictionary. When to use each, use dump when you want to write this into a file. It is efficient because it serializes and writes directly in one step. Use dumps when you need JSON as a string in memory for logging, debugging, sending data over a network, plus writing to a custom output string. Both in action. Yeah, I don't need to see that. Dump serializes and writes to a file used for saving data. Dumps only serializes to a string, used when you don't need to write the data directly to a file. Gotcha. And now I done forgot what I was gonna ask it. Oh yeah, how do you read and write to a file in the same context management sequence? To read and write a file within the same context management block, you need to open the file in a mode that allows both reading and writing. In Python, this is done with the R plus or W plus mode, depending on your case. File modes for reading and writing. R plus opens a file for both reading and writing. The file must already exist. W plus opens a file for both reading and writing, but overwrites the file, clears its contents, or creates a new file if it doesn't exist. What does it mean? It overwrites the file. Like, we don't need to overwrite the entire file. We just want to overwrite certain, dictionary JSON dict entries. You feel? And then we have A plus opens the file for both reading and appending. Opens the file for both reading and appending. New writes are added at the end, but you can still read the file. The file already exists and you want to read it from it and update its contents. So data to add key. So this is with open or plus this file, read the current file, data equals JSON load file, print original data. And then modify the data update, data to add. Data update. What does update do? Write the updated data back to the file. File seek 0. Move the cursor to the beginning of the file. File seek 0. Move the cursor to the beginning of the file. JSON dump data. File. File chunk here. Moving leftover data. I don't understand. Like, so update just adds to it. So update just added to the file, aka it didn't rewrite the entire file. It only appended to it in the R plus example. And then we have, okay, what's next? Overwrite file using W plus. If you want to start fresh but still read what you've just written. So overwrite, it overwrites the entire thing. New data equals key 1, key 2, open example JSON W plus as file. Write new data to the file. JSON dump new data file indent 4. Move the cursor at the beginning to read the data. Beginning to read data file C. Data equals JSON load file. Okay, so this is overwrite, then read. So you can overwrite the entire file and then read, but you can't read what comes first, what it was previously, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Maybe you can read first and then write after. But the intent is to overwrite the file, new data completely, and then to read that you just wrote. And I guess I'll ask, or W plus, can you read first then overwrite? And assuming that this overwrites the entire file completely. And then we have the, wait, wasn't there a third one? There was R plus, W plus, and A plus. Opens the file for both reading and appending. New writes are added at the end. So A is for append. If you want to append the data to the end and still read the entire file, new data, okay. So wait, what's the difference between A plus and updates here? The file exists and you want to read from it and update its contents. So, well, it doesn't show me the output here. Also, for this method, if key 3 already existed, would it overwrite the previous key 3? Append using append and read using A plus. If you want to append new data to the end and still read the entire. Append and read using A plus. If you want to append new data to the end and still read the entire file. Data to the end, so read the entire file. So JSON new data equals key 3 value 3 with JSON A plus this file. You append the new data. This music is too loud in my ears. New data as JSON string for simplicity. File write new line plus JSON dumps the new data. Okay, so you're just adding new data. Append doesn't allow you to overwrite. Just allows you to. As to where W plus, that erases everything, I'm assuming. R plus if the file already exists and you want to read from it and update its contents. So this one allows you to update or overwrite only certain parts. So you have data to add key 3, because this is step 1, read the current context, and we say data equals JSON load. So we load in the file, have the original data, and then we update. I'm guessing, yeah, this means to replace if it already exists. And I guess maybe if it doesn't exist, it will add it. Maybe it has multifunctionality update, that is, where if the key value pair exists, it will overwrite it, and if it doesn't exist, it will create it. So, but it will leave everything else in the file alone, I think, if I understand correctly. And then W plus overwrites the entire file, and A plus only lets you append to the file. So use file seek to move the cursor to the beginning of the file when switching between reading and writing. That is an important point that I didn't think about that. Well, because when you read, it starts at wherever your, what is it called? Oh man, it's called I just went through this. I was gonna use it for, it's like an index of the byte location in the file. Damn, I can't remember the term for it. Anyway, yeah, so whenever you read, you have to seek to where you want to read to. So you have just wanted to, for our case, we would want to update. Okay, yeah, you still would have to seek back to the beginning, because technically the cursor gets moved. So this update, though, I'm guessing update, like, this is a file operation. This is a file method. And I guess it writes, like, if whatever you're updating is at the end or the middle, it seeks to that location, writes it, and then just leaves it there. So if you wanted to seek back to the beginning of the file, you would have to do file seek 0. If I understand this correctly. Also, for this R plus, when you use file.update, it's a file method, and it essentially seeks to the update location, overwrites or creates the new entry, the new data, and then the byte position. I can't remember the term for it. Then leaves a byte position at that location, which is why you have to seek back to 0 byte position afterwards to read the entire file. Okay, yeah, so I think that is going to me to understand this finally, and I think we're probably going to use R plus for this. And this is new to me. I've never done this. This is new. I've never really messed with file operations that much. Usually people that have 4 years of Python experience would have already had experience with this, But I did things a little differently. I just chose a project. I didn't really do a course. I did a basic course that did teach me some file operations. This was like 5 years ago. And you just don't remember things when you learn them once 5 years ago. You know, it just doesn't work like that. And I don't think we went this in depth anyway. I forgot to set my timer actually. Let me stretch it out here. Stretch it out. Get the blood flowing to the brain. Feeling kind of, you know, not amazing right now. Not in the zone. I stayed up a little late last night. Paid the price. So anyway, 41 minutes in. Let's go ahead and set our timer. We only actually have, we do 68 minutes, so we need 27 minutes. Man, I'm a genius. 6 minutes. 26. So, all right, there we go. Let's finish this. Finish strong. It's a solid hour. Oh man, there goes the alarm. I need to take my ibuprofen and stuff. Okay, so let's read our question. Let me know if you like additional example. We said, so update just added to the file, aka it didn't rewrite the entire file. So we have the three methods. We have A plus, or R plus, which is read plus. Then we have W plus, which is write plus, and then we have A plus, which is append, and plus is if it's write, then it adds read. If it's read, then it adds write. So R plus is read and write, and it overwrites certain things as far as I understand it currently. W plus is write plus, which means it writes. It also allows you to read, but it overwrites the entire file. And A plus is append plus read, which allows you to only add data to the end of the file and then read it. Let's reading the question. So update just added to the file, aka it didn't rewrite the entire file, it only appended to it. So that's not completely accurate. Would be correct. It would probably correct me to say it actually modified it. It didn't append to it per se. If it didn't exist, I'm thinking it existed, then it modified it. Wrote that data. In the R plus example, also for this method, if key 3 already existed, would it overwrite the previous key 3? Also for R plus, when you use file update, is it a file method? And it essentially seeks to the update location, overwrites, creates the new data, and then leaves the byte position at that location, which is why you have to seek back to 0 byte position afterwards to read the entire file. For W plus, can you read the first, then overwrite, and assuming that this overwrites the entire file completely. There we go. So, update behavior. Update is method for Python dictionaries, not the file objects. When used in the R plus example, update is a method for Python dictionaries, not the file object. Okay, so update is for Python dictionary, not the file object. When used in the R plus example, data plus update modifies the in-memory Python dictionary. I thought it was a dict method. I don't really use it, but I thought it was. But I forgot about it. I just never use it. By adding or updating the key value pairs. So yes, update will add or update. So if it exists, it will update it. If it doesn't exist, it will create the dictionary. Does it depend on the file? Not directly. After modifying the dictionary, the entire file is rewritten with the updated JSON content when you call JSON dump data file. The key already exists. Yes, update will overwrite the previous value for that key. So Data is key 1 value 1, key 2 value 2. Data to add, key 2 is new value. So you do data update data to add. So it modifies this dictionary and it will replace the key 2 value 2 with key 2 new value, and it will also add the key 3 value 3, so you can do them simultaneously with one update call. So then we do data update data to add to actuate that, then we print the data, and now we have the new value for key 2 and the added key 3 value 3 pair. Okay, I understand now. File methods in R plus behavior. In R plus example, this sequence happens. Open the file, as file, we load it, reads the entire file into a Python dictionary, then we do data update, because this is now a Python dictionary, so now we're updating it with the data to add. It updates the in-memory dictionary, then we seek to the start of the file. So I'm guessing the reason we have to seek to the start of the file is because I don't know, like, wouldn't it, I guess because when you read it, oh, right, so load reads the file. It reads it and deserializes it. So since it started at 0 and it read it, that means it goes all the way to the end. So the byte position is actually like -1 or whatever, I guess, if it uses the same numbering system as indexes. 0 for start, -1 for end. So file seek 0, move the cursor to the start of the file, JSON dump data, file, indent, write the updated data to the file. JSON data, indent, 4, write the updated data to the file, right? And then we have file truncate. Remove any leftover content from the previous file. What does this do? Why did we truncate this? Write the updated data to any leftover content from the previous. I don't understand what truncate does. Why do we use seek 0? File in R+, the cursor starts at the beginning of the file. After reading with JSON load, the cursor is now at the end of the file. If you try to write without resetting the cursor, the new content will overwrite only from the current cursor position, leading to a corrupted file. Very important. Okay. Key takeaway: seek 0 ensures that writing starts from the beginning of the file. Understood. Why do we use truncate after rewriting the file with JSON dump? There might be leftover content from the previous version of the file if the new content is shorter. Oh, truncate removes any extra content. Gotcha. Oh, okay. See, that's important. Very important stuff. Okay. Behavior of W+. So we need to use truncate when we overwrite. So I'm still confused about R+. Does it completely overwrite all of the data in the file no matter what, like W+, or does it overwrite changed/new data? Right, so then we have behavior of W+. W+ mode overwrites the entire file immediately upon opening, or creates a new file if it doesn't exist. Any previous data is completely cleared. Read first. Essentially trying to understand the difference between W plus and R plus. W plus. The W plus mode overwrites the entire file immediately upon opening or creates any file if it doesn't exist. And previous data is completely clear. Can you read first, then write? Can you? Well, that was fast. Can you read first, then overwrite? Technically, yes. You can read if you move the cursor to the beginning of the file with seek 0, but because W plus clears the file on opening, there's no content to read unless you wrote something first. So W plus does not allow you to read first. You have to write first. Thus, W plus means it writes, so reading an empty file. Okay, so this is actually important stuff. You want to make sure you're handling your data files. It's actually a delicate process. It's more delicate than I thought it was going to be. This is good that I'm learning this because I needed to know it. It's clear opening. There's no content to read unless you wrote something. So writing import JSON data to write equals key 1 value 1 key 2 value 2 with open example JSON W plus this file. Write new data, you have JSON dump, and what do you dump? You dump the data to write. You dump the data to write to the file. This is using W plus, right? So this is the completely new. As soon as you run this line, it erases everything. File, and then it dump to write the data that you just are referencing to that file. And use the cursor at the beginning of the file to read it because it's now located by position at the end. And after you have written, you load the file, and that will read the data. And then you're gonna overwrite with new data. I'm like, wait, what? Files new data equals key 1 updated value key 3 value 3. JSON dump new data file. So you should use truncate when you use W plus or R plus because the data is shorter that you overwrote with the new data that has overwritten. Output file after the first write. And then after the second write, it's now key 1 updated value and key 2 is gone. Okay, I see. So key difference between R plus and W plus. So literally the question I was about to ask. So R plus opens an existing file without clearing it. W plus overwrites the file, clears it on open, and this is the initial behavior. As soon as you invoke the R plus or W plus with open, that's what happens. W plus erases everything in the file. R plus does not. The file must exist with R plus, yes. And W is no. If it doesn't exist, it's created. So obviously you would use W plus if you're creating a new file. Read it after. Use R plus if you have an existing file that you're modifying. And it reads before write. So yes, you in R plus you can read before you write because the file is not cleared initially, but W plus you cannot because the file is cleared when it is opened. The write behavior is update specific parts, requires careful cursor management, and W plus rewrites the entire file. So how do you okay, right, because you're gonna load in the dictionary, and then you're going to let me see if this is still working, because it's doing the disconnect thing where it DCs, and I don't know why it does this, but it does this. I updated garlic infinite times. You're gonna load in the dictionary, and then you okay, so it's still working. Cool. All right. So I'm learning. I'm learning, baby. I'm understanding. I'm learning. Okay. We have the R plus. Dude, I forgot to start my timer. I'm an idiot. It's been stuck at 25:57. I'm like, man, it's been a long 25 minutes, bro. Time was standing still. Idiot. Okay. R plus and W plus. Open system file. Man, I lost my train of thought. So W plus for new files. R plus. Okay, right. So with JSON, you're using a single dictionary. So whenever you want to modify like any value, key value pair in JSON or add a new one, what you do is you load in basically the entire file. You start at 0 and you load in the entire file. That is the JSON dictionary right there. Now it's converted to a Python dictionary, and let's just say you modify one key value pair that already exists, and then you add another key value pair that didn't exist. And you can use it. You can use update. So we should probably use update instead of this. Say low lines. Use update instead of because we should be able to do both of those at the same time using update. We should be able to say save data, which is the dictionary, update, and then we would do how is the syntax for this? There it is. So data to add. Okay, so you have data to add, but you write it. Okay, well they're just using strings, but I don't have to have the key strings. The values don't have to be automatically do that. So is that faster? Like, is update? Because you're adding a dictionary. Like, you're working with a dictionary. You're passing it to the dictionary. But I don't know if this is per se faster than doing two separate operations. We'll have to check. We'll say check performance. So we would do save data update, and then we would have the dictionary. It would be client ID, and then the client ID. Then we would have another key value pair, which would game ID. This is a pretty good little remix right here. It's pretty Save data update, client ID, game ID, game ID. Save data, yeah, so we're gonna compare these two. I'm pretty sure this is the correct syntax, based on what I saw. Let's see if it works. Okay, so this is gonna do R plus. And if we print save data at this point, after we, why did it throw an error? It didn't throw an error before. Oh, because we didn't seek. So we load, then we do dump, so it's extra data. And then we need to do save file truncate. File if new data is shorter. So we would need to seek back to so we say save file seek 0. JSON load. Jeez, why does that not work? JSON debugger data s end. Is it? Oh, because we corrupted the file. I see. Okay, so it wasn't. Yeah, okay. I get you. I get you. I see. I understand now. If we load it, there we go. Now, what happens if we then jump to it? Okay, now when we load it again, it's gonna have an error because now it's got this in it. See? It re-added the entire thing. And the reason that it does this, it doesn't like have spacing or indentation. The reason that it does that is because of why does it do that again? It does that because we load it, then we dump to it. So when we load it, it goes to the end. It seeks to the end. So at this point, it's at the final location in the file. And then writes all the data that it just read to the end of the file, which was all the data from the beginning to the end of the file. So it just duplicates the entire data file. So now you have two dictionaries that are exactly the same. That's because we didn't seek B or we don't. So you have to do seek first. And there you go. Now, when you look at this file, that didn't work either. Why not? Why it's not working, cuz? Something ain't working right here. Do we have to seek, like, again? Like, are we... I'm confused here. It's... Yeah, I'm like, I got the brain of a chocobo, okay? I got the brain of a chocobo. So, let's see this file. Let's put it side by side, baby. No, not like this. Whoa, man, I don't want 3, I just wanted 2, dog. Alright, there we go. Alright, so let's undo this file. I don't understand. Because... So, we have our JSON. Oh... I know why. Because this isn't JSONified, dumbass. It has to be... Everything has to be like this, right? Isn't that how it works? That was why it was... Let's do this again. Okay, expecting property name enclosed in double quotes. Yeah, man, what you talking about now? Now you're confusing me. Honestly, this was harder than I thought it was gonna be. Valid control character at line 1, column 3. The fuck are you talking about? Oh, you're making me mad. You're pissing me off. Okay, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna get this over here. Get it out of there. Goodbye. See ya. Alright, we're gonna bring it down here. We're gonna paste it in. We're gonna comment it out. Okay? And I'm gonna just put below section the pre-filled dict that was inside of the JSON save file, but CS save file JSON. The pre-filled dict that was inside of the JSON save file, dict that was inside of the JSON save file, which was improper formatted. It was causing errors with how the file was being handled. Removed it so I can figure out exactly what was wrong with the syntax to have JSON interpret it JSON script instead of something it doesn't understand. So now we have an empty. He said 7 times. Is it what he said? 6 times 6 is 32. Because that's not right. What did he say? He said. Anyway. Let's go, baby. Let's see. What are you talking about? Oh, so there isn't any. So it's expecting there to be data. Expecting value. Well, so if it's empty, like what is this? What are we talking about here? If it's empty, can't do this. Okay, yeah, so we'll take care of this after. So it can't load the empty JSON file. Why that is, I don't understand, okay? I don't understand. So we'll figure that out, but I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go work out. I don't really feel like it, but I need to go to the gym, okay? I gotta go to the gym. I feel like it, but I don't really feel like doing anything right now. Which is why I need to get up and go do something, because that's why I don't feel like doing anything. It's because I'm just sitting here and I need to get my blood pumping. So we will figure it out when we come back. Okay. So see you guys next session, which I'm gonna do a second session today, and we're gonna figure out this. We're gonna get this JSON shit figured out, and we can move on to finishing this section. You know, everything takes longer than what you think, man. I thought it was gonna be like a 20-minute little check to JSON and file operations. Well, it looks like it's gonna be more like a 2 to 3 hour thing. That's what programming is. It always takes longer than what you think. Almost always. 90% of the time, it's gonna be like take you 3 times longer than what you think it's gonna take. The other 10%, you get really lucky and it takes like half the time you thought. But that's pretty rare. So anyway.